Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. We begin with breaking news in Ogden. 2 children are hospitalized after falling into a frozen pond. It happened at Glassman Pond, not far from McKay-Dee Hospital. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi is in Ogden tonight with the latest. Maithili.
Bob, a pretty scary situation unfolded here earlier this evening at Glassman Pond. Around 4:30 p.m., crews got calls about 2 juveniles who were fishing and had fallen through the ice. One was found fairly quickly and taken to the hospital. The other one was underwater for what police say was a couple hours while dive teams were looking for him. He was found almost 2 hours ago and taken to the hospital where medics are continuing life-saving measures.
Well, our hearts go out to everyone that worked on this, all the people that have, there's donated time, they're first responders responding, and we just really appreciate everything that they do to keep our community safe.
Right now, we don't have any other details about the juvenile or about his condition. Now, police want to remind people to be careful around water bodies, especially if they have ice, because you don't know how stable it might be. We'll keep you updated with the developing story as we get more details. Live in Ogden, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
I don't know. My heart hurts. For me, that I'm allowed to live here and I'm free to do so, I'm feeling cornered too.
As Immigration and Customs Enforcement begins ramping up deportations, some people online and offline have expressed concern. Worries over President Trump's immigration policies and how they'll impact Utahns are continuing to grow. And Fox 13 News is digging into the issue. Last week, the Trump administration launched its crackdown on illegal immigration by signing several executive orders. It was the president's #1 promise on the campaign trail. His administration closed access to the CBP One app, as well as asylum protections at the U.S. border. More military troops were sent to the southern border, and ICE was given the green light to arrest illegal immigrants in schools, hospitals, and churches. We spoke with an immigration lawyer today about what you need to know. Mark Alvarez with the Immigrant Defenders Law Group says there is a lot of uncertainty right now. He told us he's been getting a lot of calls recently.
I fear it's panic, but I think it's mostly uncertainty. The problem is uncertainty in a lot of people's minds gets interpreted as a very, very negative situation.
Alvarez says to know your rights, including your right to remain silent. And if you're a U.S. citizen, to have your documents handy should you encounter a federal officer. Native Americans across the country, including here in Utah, are worried about all of this. The Uinta Ouray Utes issued a public notice telling tribal members to contact them immediately if ICE agents approach them. They say they will aggressively defend all tribal members. Indigenous Americans are often profiled as Hispanic or Latino. One representative of the Navajo Nation talked about their concern not knowing whether immigration authorities will respect tribal documentation.
The allegations that are coming through are they feel that they have been racially discriminated and also profiled, especially at their places of work, where they were just moved into a different room and being able to ask for correct documentation.
The Office of the Navajo Nation President released a guide for anyone who is confronted by immigration agents. It advises them to request to see the agent's identification to confirm legitimacy, exercise their right to remain silent, speak to an attorney if they are arrested or detained, and document the interaction if possible so they can later report the encounter. U.S. churches have long been off limits to immigration authorities, but now, as we mentioned, authorities can enter schools, healthcare facilities, and houses of worship to conduct arrests. Utah's religious community is reacting to that tonight. In a letter, Bishop Oscar Solis of the Salt Lake Catholic Diocese calls on the faithful to obey the law while maintaining the dignity of each person. He said, "We cannot remain indifferent, blind, and deaf to the sufferings of those in need, especially the undocumented and the refugees." He then expressed solidarity with those who are feeling frightened or threatened and offered a guide for persons with immigration needs as a resource through the diocese. I spoke with Rabbi Sam Spector this afternoon of Congregation Kol Ami. He's concerned about authorities entering a place of worship and disturbing the sanctity of the synagogue, church, or mosque.
Unless they are actively in that moment committing a crime, I think they should be left alone and allowed to pray in peace. And also coming in and arresting somebody in the middle of a service would be traumatic and disruptive to the other congregants as well, and all the children who come to our services. And so I think that this is a overreach by the government, and I'd be very angry if our congregants were harassed while they were praying.
The LDS Church did not have a specific statement on the Trump administration's deportation operation, but referred me to a previous statement that emphasized Christ-like love for neighbors, strengthening the family, and acknowledging every nation's rights to enforce its laws and secure its borders. As part of changing things once in office now, President Trump said he would enact tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. The president and CEO of World Trade Center Utah says about 20% of Utah's job market is associated with international trade. Many Utah businesses say they're watching very closely to see how it could affect them, and they're looking at it from different perspectives. It could provide more opportunities for Utah companies to manufacture locally, but it could also cause inflation. Lifetime Products says they're grateful they mainly manufacture their products in Clearfield.
Ultimately, freight costs are one of the largest components of any consumer product price, and our products are large ones that have a lot of freight involved, and that's always an advantage to be manufactured in the market where it's going to be used here in the U.S.
While Utah companies navigate the possible changes, World Trade Center Utah is offering itself as a resource to help businesses that need guidance. There is a lot to unpack during the first 100 days of President Trump's second term in office. Fox 13 News will be there every step of the way with updates on air and online at fox13now.com. Now to your pocketbook. Egg prices may reach a record high this year due to the ongoing bird flu outbreak and inflation. The average price of a dozen eggs was $3.65 last November, went up to $4.15 last month, and now the U.S. Department of Agriculture predicts egg prices could go up more than 20% this year. Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms looks at alternatives for Utahns.
For Alexandria Condi, having her own farm was never in the plans.
Hi, babies.
Until her family moved to West Haven 3 years ago.
When we purchased our home, we were offered the chance to keep the chickens that were on the property.
What started as experimentation has turned into passion.
I started with 6.
And now?
I have approximately 30.
It took diligent research.
So I had to learn quickly on mite care, bumblefoot, egg bound.
And with some noisy roosters on the property.
His name's Biggie Smalls.
It also took a willingness to be woken up. But those early mornings might be paying off as egg supplies are running low from the impacts of bird flu.
Here in Utah, one of our largest egg producers unfortunately got avian influenza in their barns in fall of 2024.
The USDA says prices could rise another 20% in the year 2025.
And if that's kind of the trend that they're seeing, it probably would impact Utah.
Condi notes that buying and caring for the chickens well is quite costly, but she feels her investment is well worth it.
Once spring picks up, summer picks up, we're drowning in eggs.
The Utah Department of Agriculture and Food encourages others to raise their own birds, but they need to do so safely.
The big thing is making sure that you're keeping those birds away from where they can come into contact with wild birds.
Condi says these biosecurity practices are especially important during migratory seasons in the spring and fall. She adds, if you do your homework,
I think it's a good skill to learn and a fun experience. And I think it's a good way to know where your food comes from.
your flock can flourish like this one, dozen strong, in a West Haven backyard. In Weber County, Jeremy Toms, Fox 13 News, Utah.
How do the chickens do in cold weather like this? I would imagine you need to bring them in when it gets below freezing.
Yeah, you need to warm up that coop just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, of course, weather-wise, as it has been another cold day. Temperatures below average here, especially across northern Utah. So we give you a view of our satellite and radar throughout the state. Not much going on now earlier on throughout southern Utah, as we do have some moisture in place. We did find a few isolated light snow showers tracking through Bryce Canyon, heading over towards Bryan Head, at least along I-15 between Beaver and Cedar City. Light snow was in place. Not much going on. We have a few isolated showers right now, but the moisture still around as we'll be gearing up for more active weather across southern Utah here over the next couple of days. Mainly clear though, line of clouds making their move here across the northern Wasatch Front, posing no threat of any precipitation. It's the storm system to the south that's generating that moisture and that push as we see across southern Utah. It's a slow moving storm where, as you can see, it is producing some precipitation near Phoenix at this hour. But mostly clear skies above the haze, as the haze was a little thicker here across the Wasatch Front, where as we take a look at high temperatures today, we did get up to 36 degrees in Salt Lake City. We should be at 40. That's where we found ourselves, at least in Ogden. Through central Utah, highs in the upper 30s. We did make it up to the low 50s in St. George, where right now we're already in the teens in Provo, Delta as well. Upper 20s from Ogden through Salt Lake City, as it will be a cold night. Keeping it clear here across the north, but looks like a chance of some snow showers across southern Utah. When do we see the snow returning towards northern Utah, though? I'll let you know coming up in just a bit.
It says a lot about the Da Vinci community. They really care about other people. They're thinking of others versus themselves.
Coming up, we're learning how a nearby school was impacted by a massive fire in Ogden 2 days ago. We'll show you.
A text message will be sent out, and it has the city logo on it, so it's a very sophisticated scam.
What Salt Lake officials want you to know about a new scam affecting people who park downtown.
He ordered 3 medium cheese pizzas, 1 extra large cheese, 24-count boneless wings, and a large cheese stick.
A memorable order for a Utah Pizza Hut worker, the famous customer who literally paid him a visit. We're learning more in the aftermath of a massive fire in Ogden over the weekend. The construction site where it happened sits between 2 buildings of the Da Vinci Academy. Administrators say this week K through 6th grade classes will be remote as they assess the damage. Executive Administrator Fred Donaldson says principals will update parents with course plans, and he is grateful to Ogden fire crews. The academy will repair the roof, windows, and some outside equipment. Staff members have told students the building is okay, but they're more worried about their classroom pets.
Heartfelt response from the students is that they were concerned about some of our school mascots. So we have a bearded dragon named Patricia, and they were very concerned about Patricia.
In the meantime, their art and STEM teacher, Miss Sather, will be doing story time with Patricia on Facebook this week. In a recent county commission meeting, the Washington County Sheriff's Office reported saving nearly 150 people in 2024. Deputy Jacob Paul says last year they started allowing larger fire and rescue agencies in the city to do search and rescue.
Compared to last year, we had 140. That drop is mostly due to that. We're about on par with what we would be before that.
Local guides say there's no shame in turning around when you feel unsafe to avoid being in a situation where you have to call in search and rescue. We thought this is worth celebrating. Utah-based rapper Post Malone surprised a Cottonwood Heights Pizza Hut worker over the weekend. Colby Aguila says he was starstruck when the singer knocked on the door Saturday morning. They weren't even open yet, but Colby let him in, and they had a great conversation while his pizzas were in the oven. The biggest surprise came when Posty paid for his pies and left a $1,200 tip.
I looked at him, I said, I was shocked. I was like, I couldn't take that. And he handed me it. I was thankful. I shook his hand, got a picture with him. He was honestly such a genuine man.
Colby says he's worked at Pizza Hut for about 4 months now and hasn't gotten a tip over $20. You can't say that anymore. You keep hearing all these great stories about Post Malone.
I wonder how the other co-workers feel there that have worked there for 4 years.
Well, my guess is Colby will probably buy him a pizza.
I hope so. I hope he shares the wealth there.
Or a Pepsi or something, whatever. Okay. Anyway. Hey, it looks cold behind you.
Oh, yeah. Picture here coming in from a viewer up on our Facebook page, Utah's Weather Authority, this morning in Saratoga Springs, highlighting that we had clear skies, but a little bit more snow covering the ground the further south you go. Over the weekend, of course, we had that storm. Didn't generate too much, but for some valley locations, we did get an inch or so, especially as you go Utah County southward, where for today, the high in Salt Lake City, 36 degrees. Again, on average, we should be right at 40 degrees. How about the record set back just in 2015 and 58 degrees? We've got 50s in our forecast looking ahead. Yeah, we're going to have a nice warming trend here across northern Utah. We're outside, a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera. Haze in place, temperatures in the 20s. Logan through Salt Lake City, low 40s at this hour in St. George. You're still holding on to the 30s though right now in Price. Now, speaking of air quality, good across extreme northern Utah. Box Elder, Cache County, Weber County, green, but you're seeing more of a dominant yellow color where we're moved into the moderate concern level. Davis, Salt Lake, and Utah counties where it looks like we're going to be heading into the orange, unhealthy for sensitive groups as we move through the week. Now, as we have been seeing a few isolated showers across southern Utah, we keep that threat going up through Wednesday early afternoon. Now, for tonight, we could see some canyon winds here across northern Utah. As we look at Ogden, Weber Canyon, maybe even as we look here across Parley's Canyon, wind gusts upwards of 40, 45 miles per hour, at least for this evening, and then that threat moves away. But inversions, the biggest focus here across northern Utah, again, as that haze will be increasing as we saw today. As we move into that moderate concern level, once again, as we'll stay there for tomorrow, hovering near orange though Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, start to see a little bit of improvement as we kick up the winds, and then we bring in storm system just in time for the weekend. It always seems like we're fighting the storms on the weekend. I don't know if this will be the case, but that storm coming in on for the weekend looks to be a little bit warmer, bringing a chance of some rain showers. Not seeing much activity right now. We do have this system moving through portions of Arizona, pumping in the moisture here across southern Utah. This low pressure system, again, that wraparound moisture continue to tracking through, where the focus for tomorrow will be south central, southwestern Utah. As the storm system moves towards the east, then the threat of those showers will track towards southeastern Utah as we go to Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's confirm that looking at the computer models. Again, you're seeing that rotation, that push of moisture. We'll see those chances mainly of snow showers in the overnight hours through the early morning, but as we get the heating of the day, it's kind of a mixture of some rain and snow as we look in areas such as St. George up through Cedar City, then the focus across southeastern Utah before that system does move away and then tracks towards the east there, generating some active weather as you look from Texas up through the central plains, moving through the rest of the week. So this storm system will be moving on, and for tonight, we'll be keeping it clear here across northern Utah. Overnight lows getting down into the 20s here across the Wasatch Front, teens through central Utah, even 20s as we head in St. George. A little colder though for St. George tomorrow as you see a scattered threat of those rain and snow showers, where again, timing of the day, if it's colder, we might see some brief snow and then changing in the rain throughout the afternoon. Slight chance on Wednesday, then it's clear and warming up. We go from 50s to 60s, even approaching near 70 degrees on Monday. Now for northern Utah, we've got the haze, some clouds on Friday with some winds, then rain. Yeah, rain in the valley, snow in the mountains lingering on, but look at that, highs getting up into the 50s, but we'll contend with the haze and upper 30s to low 40s here for the next few days. We're back after the break.
In Fox 13 News Money Watch, Salt Lake City leaders are warning of a new scam. People are getting text messages that claim to be from the city's parking services department asking for payment for an unpaid invoice. Well, the messages lead to a fraudulent website where all the money received goes to the scammer, not Salt Lake City like it claims.
I think they were clever, in using the city logo. So they were trying to make it look as legitimate as possible. If you look closely, there are a couple of grammatical errors.
If you got this bogus text message, just ignore it and don't click on the link. Salt Lake City officials do not believe internal city systems have been compromised. The scam appears to be similar to another one cities across the country have recently encountered. Seeing the Salt Lake Bees game at Daybreak Field at America First Square is going to cost you more this season. Here's a look at the price chart that you'll find online. Tickets start at $17 a game for seats out in the left outfield for all 75 home games, and then go up to $52 a game for seats along the dugouts for 19 games of the season. In 2023, season tickets at Smith's Ballpark cost anywhere from $9 to $18 a game. The Bees' home opener at the new ballpark in South Jordan is scheduled for April 8th. The University of Utah is spending a lot of money in hopes of saving some down the road. Our content partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report the U is paying $6 million to the consulting firm McKinsey & Company to get their input on where they could streamline things financially in a project called Operation Excellence. McKinsey has a reputation for leading companies to make mass layoffs, to cut costs, and ignoring conflicts of interest. At the end of last year, McKinsey agreed to pay out a $650 million settlement over their role in making the opioid epidemic worse nationwide. McKinsey was used by Purdue Pharma to help market and drive sales of OxyContin.
A big bill on nuclear power gets its first hearing. We'll show you what happened.
It was a busy day to kick off week 2 of this year's Utah legislative session. We'll break down several bills that are in motion in just a moment, but chief among them, a bill that would dramatically expand nuclear energy in Utah got its first hearing in the legislature. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow gets us up to speed from Utah's Capitol Hill.
This will not be a plant tomorrow or the next day or the next year. This plant generation is going to be 10, 15 years down the road. And hopefully technology improves and we generate power with zero carbon.
The bill lays the groundwork for experimentation with small-scale nuclear energy. It includes special areas in the state where it can be experimented with and oversight boards on a state level. The bill is also a priority of the governor and Republican legislative leaders who view it as another way to meet Utah's energy demand. But public comment was mixed about the bill, with people raising concerns about the risks of nuclear power.
I'm here to say that I hope we don't repeat the mistakes of prior generations by being so caught up in the enthusiasm for the benefits from nuclear that we fail to protect our citizens.
This board that is established through Representative Albrecht's bill puts Utah in a leader position almost immediately.
Reporting is not required before funding decisions are made, which makes little room for public input on how our tax dollars are being spent.
Component parts of this bill, I think, really do set up the state to address the commercial considerations and the obstacles associated with facilitating new nuclear development in the state.
I want you to think about this, these costs of nuclear energy up and down the supply chain. And I also want you to realize that this isn't a far-off problem. These dangers are being felt within our own state.
Now, this bill passed out of the committee unanimously. Republicans and Democrats supported it. It now goes to the full House of Representatives for a vote. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A bill that critics call union busting is advancing on Utah's Capitol Hill. It would prohibit public employee unions from collective bargaining and restrict union activities on public property. But it also offers liability insurance to public sector employees. South Jordan Representative Jordan Tusher acknowledges that police, firefighter, and education unions oppose the bill right now.
I care about our firefighters, I care about our police officers, I care about our teachers and all of our public employees. I would not run this bill if I didn't strongly believe that this is in the best interest of all of the public employees that we have across the state.
The bill passed on a 42-32 vote in the House and now goes to the Senate, but there may be more changes coming, particularly as unions protest it. A new bill would create exceptions for police body cameras. Far West Representative Matthew Gwynn's bill says officers on narcotics units and task forces engaged in active drug investigations don't necessarily have to activate the camera. The Utah House voted unanimously for a bill that lets Salt Lake County move its offices. The current county government complex at 2100 South State in Salt Lake City has more than $200 million in repairs. So the county has bought the old Overstock headquarters in Midvale for $55 million, but they needed the law to change to move. The bill now goes to the Utah Senate. A big new bill in the Utah legislature would take away a student's phone during class time. South Jordan Senator Lincoln Fillmore's bill bans cell phones and smartwatches during class time. They can use their electronic devices during breaks, and there's an exception for emergencies. The bill is designed to minimize distractions in the classroom. Governor Spencer Cox has called for a cell phone ban in classrooms to keep kids focused. A new bill filed in the legislature would provide free breakfast and free lunch to all public school students. Senate Minority Leader Luz Escamilla's bill goes further than others introduced in this legislative session on school meals. While others seek to reduce school lunch debt, hers creates a special account to feed every student. That could potentially cost millions of dollars to implement. A bill to require golf courses to track how much water they use is advancing on Utah's Capitol Hill. The Senate Business and Labor Committee voted unanimously to pass Riverton Senator Dan McKay's bill to order a study on golf course water use. However, all the data may not be made public. He's offering some carve-outs on public records laws. The senator says he wants the golf courses to save water, not necessarily sprinkler shame them. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow is on Utah's Capitol Hill for all of this Utah legislative session. He is looking at all the big issues that impact all of our lives. Catch Ben's reports only on Fox 13 News and at fox13now.com.
I'm Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed in Panguitch, where they were deciding whether to name a road after President Donald Trump. What was the decision? I'll tell you about it coming up.
And after the break, we'll be talking about our next storm system, but want to share a photo before we go to break coming in from Brent up in Heber with morning fog and temperatures at 1 degree. What will you wake up to tomorrow? I'll let you know after the break.
The path toward renaming a road in the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument after President Donald Trump has been blocked. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed was at the Garfield County Commission meeting, which drew a big crowd.
We came here to the Fair Building in Garfield County, population 5,300, where there was a heated discussion over a road and whether to name it for President Donald Trump.
I was really nervous. I was like sitting over in my seat. I was taking deep breaths. My knees were shaking.
Holding a sign about the legacy of his ancestor, 15-year-old Tuxson Burr Hathaway, who came from the Sevier County town of Cousharum, said he was passionate about not changing the name of the road named for pioneer John Atlantic Burr, who first built it in the 19th century.
As I started researching more into John Atlantic Burr, I'm like, wow, this is actually a really cool story, how he was born on the ship.
Tucson was on one side of residents arguing whether to rename either the Bird Trail Scenic Backway or Johns Valley Road after the president. On the other side was 75-year-old sheep rancher Stanton Jack Cleve of Pingwich, who said his family was one of the first to settle Johns Valley.
Well, I know all my old uncles and aunts would be proud to name that after Donald Trump because they think just like me. We've watched environmentalists run this country for 40 years. We don't have no logging, no mining.
There were other descendants of Burr who spoke out, including his great-great-granddaughter. Garfield County Commissioner Leland Pollock spearheaded the renaming effort.
Now, yeah, I can see the family thing saying that, but they're saying that and they live somewhere else. We still have to live here and make a living, and it's hard. Trump was the only one that tried to help us with that.
But ultimately, Pollock was the only one of 3 commissioners to vote in favor of the name change.
My vote at this time is no.
Escalante resident and motorcycle rider Frank Lister said he didn't want to see politics mixed with the scenery that draws tourists.
Bird Trail is a magic carpet, and I ride there for therapy. It's you can't beat it. It's one of the most scenic highways probably in the world.
The 2 commissioners who voted no say they weren't against the president as much as not removing or downgrading Burr, but left open the possibility of naming something else in Garfield County for the president. Tucson said he's just happy his ancestors' legacy will live on.
I feel way better. When they both said no, I started clapping and I almost cried.
From Pingwich, Chris Reed, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Have you ever thought about where your news comes from or what you're reading online, whether or not it's true? Kids at North Point Elementary are doing just that. I'll bring you that story coming up.
Coming up in sports, Utah Hockey Club forward Barrett Hayden received a big award today from the NHL. And the Jazz took on Damian Lillard and the Bucks. Could they keep up with one of the hottest teams in the NBA? The highlights are on the way.
Next week is National News Literacy Week, and today Fox 13 News was teaching students about the importance of that topic. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay was part of a special assembly at North Point Elementary in Lehi.
I've learned that not everything's true online. You kind of have to go through it and make sure.
4th, 5th, and 6th grade students at North Point Elementary in Lehi learning some critical thinking skills when it comes to news and information online. Some even getting a chance to try it from the other side.
And then you're going to toss it out to our trusty reporter. Tell me your name.
My name is Luke.
Hearing from local journalists about checking their sources.
I think it was great because I learned a lot.
This age group, soon to be teens themselves, who according to recent surveys spend nearly 5 hours a day on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Kids your age use social media a lot?
Yeah, a lot.
Are you ever on social media?
Yes, because I'm really interested into cars. So sometimes I just search up car videos about cool cars that I like.
But Dallas now knows to be wary of AI.
Because sometimes maybe the picture just looks kind of fake.
You know, it's really important for the students to be able to know what is true, what isn't, to sift through that.
April Durr, principal at North Point Elementary, incorporated social media safety and media literacy into their Red Ribbon Week.
Be informed, knowledge is power.
My parents or Google.
4th grader Zachary on his main sources of information, but now questions what he finds online.
One time I was on YouTube watching this dinosaur comparison thing. It was one of those things that was from Google, and I needed to make sure.
SIFT is an acronym the kids learn to stop, investigate the source, find trusted news coverage, and trace back to the original source.
You should see if it's true, and then you should see if it should be shared or not.
Fox 13 News and our parent company, Scripps, are proud to be a part of National News Literacy Week, which actually kicks off February 3rd and highlights the importance of finding credible information online. If you'd like to find out more about it, you can go to newslit.org, and of course, we'll link you at fox13now.com. Reporting in Lehi, Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We can't emphasize enough the importance of getting it right, no matter where you get your information from. And Yeah, News Literacy Week is really worth your attention. So we encourage you to take part and make sure that your sources are all accurate and all of that.
And Bob, you know that I'm getting it right.
Yes, of course, because you tell me you are.
I know. The numbers stand.
Isn't that good enough right there?
We're about what, 92% accuracy?
Well, you know, yours is the only job that you could get it right only 40% of the time and make 100% of your
If I had
paycheck.
$1, how many times have I heard that through the years?
No, we know you get it right every time, Breck, every time.
I want to get it right here, especially this week, because we do have another storm system to talk about. We're trying to get more snow. We need it here throughout the state. Outside right now, temperatures in the 20s in Salt Lake City, Ogden as well. Cold in Provo. Teens currently, where we speak of the air quality, as we mentioned here, throughout most of the Wasatch Front, we moved into that yellow concern level. Moderate today, tomorrow that'll be the case, and then Wednesday, as we don't have any storms mixing out the air, inversion will be stronger, more haze in place Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe starting to see a little relief on Friday and expecting a bigger improvement again with that storm system coming through. Now I want to show you, that's not what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you, looking at the snowpack situation here across northern Utah, but finding out where the snow is at. Now throughout the first half of the winter so far, most of the storm track moving north, where we see the snow through Oregon into Idaho, Montana as well. Actually more snow as we look towards Colorado. We're here across the state, we're about 75 to 80% of average. Of course, more dire situation across southern Utah. Oregon, though, you're over 100%. We're here across Idaho. We're about 85, close to 90% of average. So again, you're starting to see that here across northern Utah. We're losing some ground here, and across southern Utah, we're definitely needing some help. And we're going to get some here as we look ahead. Now, this is our computer models forecasting snow. I mentioned that across southern Utah, we have a storm system tracking through Arizona. It is allowing for some moisture and a chance of some showers tomorrow, especially across the southern mountains, where we're going to be generating on average about 1 to 3 inches, maybe a little bit more in some spots. Not a big snow producer, but whatever we can get will help. Now, as we move through the weekend, we start to bring in our next storm system, which will mainly have an impact across the north, generating more snow, looking more impressive, pushing it anywhere between 4 to 8 inches and maybe in some spots close to a foot of snow. That's the type of activity and the kind of storm that we need to start rolling through and getting more under a regular storm cycle. It seems like we're getting the storms about once a week. We need to pick that up. At least we'll get something here this weekend. Right now, though, we're looking at mostly clear conditions across northern Utah, southern Utah, moisture in place. But again, this storm system will continue to push that moisture in here for the next couple of days, seeing a better chance of maybe seeing some scattered showers where it's a mixture of rain and snow across southern Utah due to the storm system. As it moves further eastward, then we'll start generating a better chance of some showers across southeastern Utah heading into Wednesday. But here along the Wasatch Front, it's hazy sunshine. Temperatures should be a little bit warmer tomorrow, as is expected highs getting close to 40 degrees. We should be in the 40s in Provo. Through central Utah, it's 40s, and a little colder in St. George, where you have some scattered showers, mixture of rain and snow. It's less of a chance on Wednesday, but it's still there. Then it's clear and warming up through the weekend. Next week, we're seeing highs in the 60s. Northern Utah, looking forward to that storm, but it's going to bring rain in the valleys, snow in the mountains. So the snow that we get a little bit more heavy, wet as well, but it pushes through as we'll see those showers all the way through Monday. But look at those temperatures by the beginning of next week will be in the 50s.
The Utah Jazz played at home tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. Former Weber State star Damian Lillard received a nice ovation when he was introduced. The Bucks, one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now, but the Jazz battled. Lauri Markkanen flies in for the jam. He had 19 points. Lillard coming off back-to-back triple doubles. Step back three is up and good. He finished with 35 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo also had a monster game. Spins and gets the dunk and a little flex there. Then the Greek Freak gives it up and gets it back, and the poster jam and a bigger flex. He had 35 points, 17 rebounds, Bucks up 9. Jazz played him even in the second quarter. Bryce Sensabaugh to Colin Sexton, 2 of his 19 points, cut the lead to 3. The Bucks pulled ahead in the third. Lillard with the ball fake and another 3. That put the Bucks back up by 12. Isaiah Collier kept the fight going for the Jazz. Nice bucket here. He had 12 points and 8 assists. Jordan Clarkson was back after missing the last 10 games. 3 is good. He wanted the foul as well. He made 4 threes, scored 13 points. The Jazz battled till the end. Collier takes it to the rim, but the Bucks won the game 125-110, the 6th straight loss for the Jazz. I caught up with Lillard this morning at the Bucks shoot-around. This is his 13th season in the NBA, so he's played many times at Delta Center, but he said he always looks forward to his time in Utah.
It's always special to come back, It's another home for me, obviously growing up in Oakland. I spent a lot of time in Utah, in Ogden specifically. I come back here to play for, obviously the NBA games, but I'm here in the summer, 2 times, sometimes 3 times. Spending time on campus training, visiting with old professors and, our old coaching staff and, just some of my teammates and friends that still live here locally. Anytime I can come back here and get to see, all of my people and play here is still a special thing for me.
Utah Hockey Club forward Barrett Hayton has been named the NHL's 3rd star of the week after he had 4 goals, 2 assists, and scored 2 game-winning goals. Head coach Andre Tourigny with high praise for the 24-year-old after last week's win over the Jets.
It's everything you touch. That line is good. It's been like that all year. Look at these numbers, underlying numbers, expected goal. Look at whatever you want. Put 8s on the line. Their expected goals are in the plus. He's super competitive. He's not the most flashy guy. You're not a guy who will watch the game on every detail. He will not wow you. He's not that kind of a guy. But if you're a coach, he doesn't do much wrong. He wow me. He does a lot of good stuff.
Barrett Hayton, top corner.
I take a lot of pride in having that trust at both ends of the ice, kind of being able to play in any moment and have an impact on it. So, that means a lot.
Utah Hockey Club play their next game Wednesday night at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
They going to make the playoffs?
It's going to be down to the stretch. Right now, they're just out of the playoffs, but a good run, and they maybe make a trade at the trade deadline. There may be buyers instead of sellers. We'll see. But it's exciting to watch.
It sure is. Boy, in the kickoff season,
that would be amazing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hold the phone. Can we get this one? Yeah, right there. This is your 7th baby? I didn't say it. I said, this is your 7th baby. It's some crazy person. This is Utah!
Yeah, we wanted to share this fun moment from pop star Justin Timberlake's concert at the Delta Center over the weekend. They did an impromptu baby gender reveal on stage. The fan sign indicated they've had 4 boys and 2 girls in the past. Ultimately, it was revealed to thousands of fans that this particular fan is expecting a baby girl. Congratulations, we wish her the very best. Only in Utah.
That's not true.
Said the man with 18 kids. All right, QuickCast is up next.